By the end of this episode, you will understand what energy is, what energy management is, and a very key principle of energy management that a lot of people don't know. Before I talk about the applications of energy management for burnout, productivity, general wellness, I want to start by giving a more in-depth answer to the question of what is energy management? And to do that, I want to start even simpler with what is energy? In physics, energy is defined as the ability to do work. One of the first things you think about when you think of energy might be electricity. It's stored in these batteries, it moves through these power lines. The energy comes from a power plant, wind power, or hydropower, or steam power, or nuclear power, or some other kind of power that creates this electricity, which we then use for our everyday lives. Electricity is measured in joules. Let's say I have a box, and in order to move the box, I need to apply 1 Newton of force, a certain amount of force. If I move that box for 1 meter, that is 1 joule of work, or in other words, I need 1 joule to be able to move that box 1 meter. It might not seem obvious how joules relate to our own energy, but did you know that joules can be converted directly into calories? 1 calorie is the amount of energy that is needed to heat 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. A food calorie is 1,000 calories, and that is the measurement used on the nutrition labels for the food that you buy at the store. That is telling you how much energy you are going to get from eating that food. If you do some kind of work, that uses energy. So think about a battery that is inside of you. And if you do things, then the battery goes down. And if you eat food, then over time, your body will help to produce energy to refill the battery. So, is energy management just managing the amount of energy that we put out through our work and how much food we eat? If only it were that simple. In order to understand our energy, I want to go back to the original definition of energy. Energy is the ability to do work. Now we're going to stray a little bit from physics, and we're going to talk about energy the way that we talk about it in this course. The truth is that we have a lot of factors that contribute to our ability to do work. We talked about that battery inside of us, but we don't have just one battery. We have a lot of batteries. We can be tired in a lot of different ways. There are many ways to be tired. You could be socially exhausted. You could have your brain fried by studying too much for some test or some new concept at work. You could also have decision fatigue if you are a parent and you're having to make all these decisions for managing your kids and negotiating fights between them. And we also have things like hormones and neurotransmitters that have to be at the right levels in order for us to be able to do work, or in order for us to have energy. So energy management in the context of this series is management of all of those batteries and anything else that is keeping us from being able to do work. The third principle of energy management that at the beginning of the episode I promised I would tell you is that any work that we do, any activity that we do will require energy, but it will often give back energy as well. For example, if I were to clean my house, then once I'm done cleaning, I will feel good about being finished. I might get some dopamine, and also I won't be as distracted by the clutter, which increases my ability to do work because I can focus on a task. Another example, if I were to play some volleyball with some friends, it takes energy, physical energy. It might take some willpower to get out the door and then go to the activity. But then as I participate in that, I'm spending time with other people and I'm working together on a team. So I'm probably going to get some oxytocin, neurotransmitter that's going to help me to feel more safe and calm. I may be able to get some adrenaline and some endorphins from that. It could be nice. Sometimes people are very energized by spending time with other people or they might be very energized by being in a competitive scenario. So this is another activity that could be very energizing for me. So another example that's kind of on the opposite end of things is I don't like doing taxes and reading over legal documents, but just last week I heard someone say, "I love this," and their eyes lit up. That's something that could energize them, but for me, that's a lot of work. It requires a lot of energy from me, which might make me unable to do work on something else later that day or maybe later that week, depending on how much energy I used. This is an important thing to understand for people because in order to manage those internal batteries, we need to know not only what's going to drain those batteries, but also we need to understand if there are ways that we can recharge them faster than just sitting and taking a break. In summary, energy is the ability to do work. Energy management is managing our energy, managing anything that affects our ability to do work. And third, any activity that we do will require energy. Most activities will also give us some energy back. In our next episode, we'll start into some practical applications of these fundamental principles that we just learned. I'll see you there.